Of all my cellmates, I will never forget him for what he did. He was truly evil. I spent 6 years locked up for armed robbery, stupid shit I pulled when I was 19, too hot-headed and broke to think straight, got out 2 months ago, and man, adjusting to the outside world is a trip. But the real mindfuck is looking back at the people I shared those concrete cages with. Prisons full of all kinds, murderers, thieves, addicts, you name it. And yeah, some of the killers were straight up sociopaths, cold as ice, the kind who'd smile while planning your end, but a lot of them, good dudes caught in bad spots. Like, one guy I knew took a life in self-defense during a home invasion, but in his state, that didn't fly as a legal ed, so he's doing 32 life. Or these kids who were teenagers when it happened, 15, 16 years old, fucking up in a heat of the moment fight, pulling a trigger they didn't even mean to squeeze. One was in for 50 years after accidentally shooting his stepdad during a bad acid trip. He was 17 then, covered in tattoos now from the years grinding by, but he'd break down talking about it, swearing he'd give anything for a do-over. Point is, nothing's black and white in there. There's regret, there's growth, hell, there's even guys who'd make solid dads if they ever got a real shot. But then there are the real monsters, the ones who make your skin crawl just thinking about them. Hands down, the worst are the Chilmo's child molesters. We all call them that, short for what you think. They slink around like they belong, but everyone knows, and 90% of them, they look the part, sweaty, shifty-eyed creeps who can't help but stare a beat too long. This one guy, Bob, was the king of that nightmare mid-50s, fat as hell, redneck through and through with those thick, foggy glasses that made his eyes look bugged out and hungry. He was in for raping his own kids' daughters and sons, ages 4 to 13, over and over, year after year, like it was just another Tuesday. The story that got him caught was straight out of a horror flick, but real as the bars on our cells, from what the guys from his county said in. They had old newspaper clippings smuggled in to prove it. A couple hunters were out in the woods one weekend, tracking deer or whatever, when they spotted this rusted-out creeper van parked off the trail, little campsite nearby, fire pit half lit, but what stopped them cold was the crying. High-pitched, muffled sobs coming from inside the van, and the whole thing was rocking side to side like something out of a bad porno. Suspicious as fuck, right? They creep up, peek through a grimy window, and there he is, Bob, pants around his ankles, on top of his youngest daughter, maybe 8 or 9, while the other kids huddle in the corner, staring blank-eyed like they checked out of their own lives. The hunters yank the door open, drag him off, her girl screaming, covered in dirt and tears, and one of them starts dialing 911, Bob. This piece of shit doesn't even fight at first. He just starts bawling, snot-nosed and red-faced, yelling at them, "They're my kids. I can do what I want. With them, it's my right." Like he thought that was some kind of defense. The hunters lost to beat his ass right there in the dirt, fists flying till he was a bloody mess. Cops show up, haul everyone in, and get this, Bob presses charges on one of the hunters for assault. Dude ends up catching a misdemeanor because the system's got rules. Even for heroes like that, in prison, Bob played the long game, acted like the nicest goddamn neighbor you'd ever meet, always smiling that fake-ass grin, shuffling to church services every Sunday, quoting Bible verses about forgiveness like he was some saint. Turn the other cheek, brother, he'd say, clapping you on the back. But behind it, pure predator. He'd zero in on the young guys, the ones fresh off the bus or strung out on whatever dope they could smuggle in, buy him commissary candy bars, smokes, extra ramen, and next thing you know, they're letting him get his rocks off in some dark corner of the showers. I knew one kid, Dylan, who was normal enough, otherwise tall, quiet Hispanic guy from